It is still National Friendship Month, and with that in mind, we are going to talk about the 5 types of get-togethers to strengthen your friendships. Everything from those for the advanced hostess to text and go. So today we will get in those 5 types of gatherings, and no, you don't need to hold a 12-person dinner party to strengthen your friendships. So let's get into it. Welcome to Creating Opportunities, the podcast for professionals who know that building relationships isn't just a soft skill, it's a career advantage. I'm Cassandra Thompson, and every week we talk about how to better connect in our work lives. Whether you're leading a team, landing a client, or frankly, just feel disconnected in your day-to-day, this podcast is here to help. Okay, so I mentioned this in last week's episode, but somehow I have gone down the Instagram algorithm rabbit trail of gatherings content. That's what everyone's calling it, gatherings. These were the 12 types of gatherings I held last year. There's a whole dinner party niche. And while I love them, and we're going to get into them, I think they can be a lot of pressure. And so I'm hearing a lot though on social media around how do we get people together, which of course I love. I love this. We have all been in our own little homes, apartments, cocoons at this point. And I love that people are realizing, okay, I want to see people again. I need to make an effort. Let's do this. And frankly, not everything has to be like a dinner out, a night out, etc. So let's talk about the different types of gatherings I am seeing online. I've got them in categories, and here's how I would put them. We are going to start with the most high maintenance, and we're going to work our way down the ladder to the absolute low maintenance. And with that one comes a little bit of a rant, so stay tuned. So, high maintenance. These are what I would call the Insta-worthy gatherings. If this were 10 years ago, these would be the Pinterest parties. Even though they're done by one person, they are highly produced, themed events. Think Sunday spread. If anybody else has seen it, I love this idea. I am actually going to try this idea, but it's not easy to put together. The Sunday spread is essentially this woman, I don't know her name, but I will try and put the reel right here and I will link to it. It's gone totally viral. She has friends over for like a farmer's market in her house. Everyone brings something that they made, like as if they were at a farmer's market. So granola or like body scrub, right? That they made with sugar and salt. Whatever it is, and everyone gets to like make their bag. And that takes a certain amount of effort. She has a cute banner, she has to think about the food she's providing, etc. It's a super fun idea. I think it is great. I think you should try it. So I'm not against the high maintenance ideas, but if you have never had people to your house, this is not where I would start, okay? This is an advanced hostess technique. The other one I would say is when people do a coffee bar at their house. There was somebody else who had the coffee bar where she had made cups that were personalized for her. Now I do love that like you used to just have a friend over for coffee, and Gen Z has of course rebranded it and been like, we're having a coffee bar at home. It's so expensive to go out to get coffee. We're having coffee bar in the house. It's like, that's what people used to do. They just had people over for a cup of coffee. But now people are doing like, you got to have all the different creamers and it's got to be in the cute containers with the cute pump and all of that. That's why I put this in the high maintenance category. I would also put any sort of dinner party in this category. Dinner parties, to be done well, require planning. You have to plan a menu. They're expensive to do that. You have to think about who you're inviting. If you're doing it well, you have to think about who you're inviting. Can everyone make it? Where are people sitting, etc. It takes a lot of effort. These are the high effort, right? That's why they're high maintenance. High effort ones. These ones have the most personalized touches, right? The tote bags at the Sunday spread, the personalized coffee cups at the coffee bar. That all takes a little bit more. It probably costs a little bit more. There's more planning, etc. Now, one step down the ladder, still in the advanced category, 3 is going to be our tipping point, but number 4 is what I would call plug and play parties. These are predefined formats that have been going around the internet for quite some time, but they still include light planning. You still have to set a specific date, a specific time, send out invites in a little bit more of a formalized manner, but they're a bit lower lift than number 1. So a classic example of a plug and play would be a favorite things party. We all know by now what a favorite things party is. There are different variations of them, right? There are some where you only bring one of an item or two of an item and you do it white elephant style of like gift exchange and it can be stolen. There are ones where people bring 2 items. There's ones where people bring 5 items for the 5 friends and it's all under $10 or under $5, and right, you get a bunch of little fun things, but they all kind of fit a standard format. Another version would be a paint night. Now that still takes time to set up, but it didn't take personalization, right? You know everybody's coming and you've got a canvas for everyone, you've got paints for everyone, but you know what the night is gonna be. We're all gonna sit and paint, or a craft night of some sort. One that I saw that I think is really fun, and she's done numerous versions of it, is the girl who did the punch card party. So they had the watercolors set out, the watercolor paper set out, it's cut into card size, and everyone does their punch card of like, you know, the thing that they're gonna do that year. Like, I'm gonna go on 6 hikes, or I'm going to organize my house, and each room gets a little punch square and they get to decorate it the way they want. It's lower maintenance because you didn't have to personalize all that. You just had to provide everything out for it. And then you all just sit there and make it together. It's also lower key because, you know, you don't have to come dressed a certain way, etc. So those are plug and plays. We've heard about them. We know what they are, but they require less personalization. Oh, the last one that I would say goes in this category, and I forget it because it's a party I would never have. I don't think this is fun. The PowerPoint presentation parties. Y'all, I don't get. Do you like sitting in a PowerPoint at work? No. So then why are you having a party? Not every one of your friends knows how to present. If you have ever been in grad school where you had to have everyone in your class do some sort of presentation, you learn very quickly that some people don't have creative skills and other people don't understand timing. So somebody who thinks they're only going to talk for 10 minutes on a certain subject that they think will be funny talks for 30 minutes and it's not funny to you. This just sounds like hell to me. I've watched them online, and online, the people who do them, I go, oh, that's really funny. And then I think about, would I want to sit in that party? No. That is not fun to me. But the PowerPoint party would go in this stage number 4 of a plug and play get together. Okay, get together number 3. Like I said, this one is the tipping point. This is where it still takes a little planning, but we're getting into the easier side of things. And that would be any sort of club, book club, recipe club, dinner club. People do documentary clubs, movie clubs, etc. The reason why this is not the same as plug and play is because this typically is recurring and has a standing date and time. So on the 3rd Thursday of the month is book club night, and everybody knows what book they're reading. Everyone shows up with their wine or their cookies or their crackers or whatever, or whoever's hosting does that. It's a little bit easier, but you'll see that it is literally the middle ground between it's got some plug and play and it's got a standing element to it, standing date element to it. These are great too because they typically are low maintenance. They're on our calendar. We know when we show up. Yes, we probably have to do something for it, like, you know, read the book or make the recipe if it's like a cookbook one or a dinner club. But we can show up as ourselves. We don't have to, and you should always show up as yourself, but we don't have to, like, again, get dressed up, go to the nines. You know what's gonna happen when you get there. It's real low key. You're not having to like do something intense like do a paint night. And it's easier to plan because it is a standing thing. So you know book club is on Thursday night, once a month, right? You know when it is. You know how to put it in your calendar to send it out to everybody. It just is easier to plan. Okay, the second to lowest maintenance. We're getting in the real low maintenance ones now. I love that I'm seeing this one come up on social media now, and it is the standing appointment. If you were in college, you probably had standing dates with friends. Like, you knew what friends could go to the cafeteria for lunch on Wednesdays because of your class schedules. You knew you were meeting these 3 friends outside the cafeteria. Anyone who's ever been part of something like a Bible study or a certain workout class, those are in themselves standing appointments. They're structures given by society, but they're a standing appointment. You know it's easier to get to know people because of those standing appointments. So these are in the do life together kind of a category. Standing appointments can be literally anything that you do repetitively, same time, same place. So back in the day, I had friends that every Saturday morning we would meet at 9:30 a.m. at this cool coffee shop and just like catch up. You just knew, oh yeah, that's on Saturday. I can go on Saturday. So it's great for you because you set it up once and then like, we're done. We don't have to keep setting it up. You might text people and say, well, I see you tomorrow, but that's it. The lunches that I've talked about, my monthly lunches that I had, those were a standing appointment. It was the same restaurant, same time, same third Friday of every month. Standing appointment get-togethers are great because they're just on the calendar. You're done. That's it. I saw somebody talk about this online that he has a weekly standing appointment with one other friend that's an admin night. They go to a certain bar, they get a drink, and they do all their admin stuff. Have you seen people having admin nights? That could be a get-together that is I would say a little bit of a plug and play if it just happened once. But if you made it a standing appointment, that's a great one to have. That's just easy of like, oh yeah, we get to go to this fun bar, I get to see you, but we do our work together. I actually had a version of this back in the day too, like 5 or 6 years ago. I was teaching a college course and I had friends that were teachers and we all kind of had some sort of work that we had to work on weekends, which is not fun, but it can make it fun when on a Saturday afternoon, you and those friends go try a new coffee shop together. So we did change the place, but we knew Saturday at 2, we're going to meet at a new coffee shop and we're all going to do our work together for about 2 hours. And it made it much more bearable to get through. A super fun, easy, low maintenance standing appointment that used to happen that I hear is being revitalized is bachelor nights. Oh, back in the day for like 5 years, my friends and I had bachelor night. It was great. You knew that like, oh, you got off work on Monday and you just felt like, ugh. But at 8 p.m., you were going to go to your friend's house and you were going to sit on her floor and eat popcorn and drink wine and talk about Bachelor. And it was great. And I know other people now have Dancing with the Stars night. I know people have Survivor night or Amazing Race night, or maybe you have Traders night for like, oh, it might have just ended by the time this podcast episode comes out. But anything like that, those are fun. So it doesn't always have to be serious. It doesn't have to be productive, but bachelor nights, some sort of TV night is a great standing appointment. And these, I think, are the ones that I would really try and get on the calendar, right? Because how do we build a relationship? It is time spent together. Like, yes, you can have one great conversation with someone and go, wow, I really like them. They seem really cool. But you're not going to have a bond if you don't have physical time together. It has been studied. So a standing appointment means we get ongoing physical time together. So try standing appointments. Now, I thought that was going to be my last one. I thought that was going to be the last get together I would talk about. And then somebody reminded me. I saw an Instagram rant that I went, I feel this in my soul. She brought up something that we don't even think about anymore because our brains now go, oh, if I'm going to be with people, it has to be a thing. It has to be that Instagram-worthy party. It has to be a favorite things night, all of that kind of stuff. Like it has to be a special dinner out. She said, what happened to casual hangs? Do you remember the casual hang? Do you remember when you would just like hang out with a friend? Again, it might have been college the last time you did this. Were you and friends just kind of like hung out? I don't even know how to define it. You watch TV in the same room? I'm going to give a couple of examples of this, but one I was thinking about when she brought up the casual hang. When I was in high school, there was a girl who lived down the street that she would come over at 3 o'clock just to watch the Rosie O'Donnell show with me. Now that ages me, but we would watch the Rosie O'Donnell show. We'd probably talk for 15 minutes afterwards, and then she'd go home because we were high schoolers who had a crap load of homework to do. But like, it was just an hour. We just were in the same room. We were together. Great. See you later. That was it. Now we act like to see somebody, it has to be this production. There has to be a reason to it instead of just, oh, I'd like to, spend time with you. A different version of it that I remember going on the idea of like, it doesn't have to be extreme amounts of time. In my 20s, I lived directly across a park from some girls from church. And there was a Sunday where they said, hey, we're having a game afternoon, not night, game afternoon. Come over and join us. And I already had plans, but I said, oh, well, they start an hour later, so I can come for the first hour. And at first I thought, is that worth it? Like, am I really even going to be there for anything? It's been 15 years and I still remember how much it impacted me of like, yeah, no, that was great. An hour was fine. An hour still mattered. So casual hangs can be short. That's the whole point. It's real casual. It's calling someone up and going, hey, I'm gonna go to Costco. Do you wanna go walk around Costco with me? Or like if you're a parent and you're taking your kid to the playground, hey, I'm gonna take, little Susie to the playground. You wanna take Max to the playground and meet me there? Cool. That's it. Friends and I have talked about, why don't we just call each other up anymore to just go like, hey, you want to come over and watch a movie? Revolutionary. It doesn't have to be, hey, I've decided on Friday night I'm going to have a movie night. I'm going to have a popcorn bar set up and I'm going to have a beverage bar as well. It can just be, hey, I wanted to watch Song Sung Blue. I haven't seen it yet. You want to come over and watch it with me? That's it. What happened to the casual hang, people? We need to bring back the casual hang. Now, because this one matters for me so much and because I think our brains like can't even wrap around it, let's talk about some casual hangs. Casual hangs are calling up someone and going, hey, do you want to join us for dinner tonight or tomorrow night, right? It doesn't have to be last minute. I will say that, but it can be like, hey, we are going to make tacos tomorrow night. We thought it might be fun if your family came over too. You guys want to come over? Or if you're a family, invite your single friend over. I'll say that. As the single person, I think Justin Whitmore early talks about that in his book, We Need People Too. Like, have an extra seat at your table, not every night of the week, but here and there. This could be men or women, but I think men will like this more. Calling up some buddies and saying, hey, I'm gonna go to the park and shoot hoops. You wanna join me on Saturday morning? That's it. We can go get donuts afterwards. Like, all right. It's cash, folks. My friend has asked me, do you wanna go on a hike? Cool. Do you wanna come over and watch a movie? Yeah. Now, I will say something like, now I want to go see this movie in the theater on Friday. Are you free on Friday at 6 p.m.? That's still a get together. That's important, but I wouldn't call that a casual hang. Casual hang is as low maintenance as it comes. So I would encourage you to have a casual hang. Let's bring these back. One thing that's an issue with the casual hang is proximity. It's got to be people who live relatively close. Like that Rosie O'Donnell show example, that worked because that friend literally lived 3 doors down. Not the band, just literally 3 doors down. Bachelor night worked because we all lived about 15 minutes from each other. Although I will tell you, when I moved to Orange County, I still drove up frequently for an hour and a half for that casual hang because I think it kind of went more, or for that was a standing appointment because it mattered that much. Okay, so that proves the point that those can be a little more effort. Casual hang, you probably have to be somewhat in proximity to each other to make it easy. And so that is something that I'm trying to figure that out in my life because I don't live extremely close to many of my friends. I would say everybody lives at least 15 minutes away, if not farther. So it's just something to be aware of and think about. And I am too trying to figure out how can I incorporate that into my everyday life. I hope this episode was kind of a fun departure from what we normally talk about, but it can work in your work life as much as in your personal life. Casual hang can be, I'm gonna go walk for coffee, who wants to join me? We actually get more casual hangs at work than anywhere. A high maintenance party at work could be hosting the holiday party. So it works both ways. Let me know in the comments which one of these you think is going to be kind of your sweet spot. Because I will say, I think certain personalities do better with one of these categories over the other. I think some of us are the Insta-worthy gathering, the advanced hostess, and I think other people are much more flexible and available to just go, hey, I was thinking about getting some frozen yogurt. You want to come join me? Like, it runs the gamut. So let me know which one works best for you, and I will be back next week with another episode. Thank you for tuning into the Creating Opportunities podcast. If you found this valuable, please hit subscribe wherever you're listening, and it would really help us out if you leave a quick review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you are watching this on YouTube, hi to my YouTube folks, please like and comment below. I do read every one, and it's small things like that that make a big difference in getting this show out there to more people who want to have better relationships in their work lives. So thank you for that, and I'll see you in the next one.